Forest podcast is supported by viewers, listeners, and businesses just like you. Michelle Parnell has lived and worked in Lake Forest for over 2 decades. Michelle's lending experience, when combined with her real estate expertise, makes her an invaluable asset to her clients as they navigate their home buying or selling process. Call Michelle now at 847-528-8721, 847-528-8721. For the best cannabis in the world, look no further than Iliad Epic Grow. Owned by Lake Bluff's own Rich Ruzich, they are a cannabis cultivation center focusing on hard-to-find small batch products that will delight both the occasional user and ganjier. When visiting Michigan, ask for it by name. Epic Products, exceptional process. For more information, email info@iliadgrow.com. Laracy & Company CPAs, founded in 2010 by Lake Forest's own Brian Laracy, specializes in tax preparation and bookkeeping services. Earning the People Love Us on Yelp award, their process is straightforward. Just upload, review, and file. For a free quote, visit LaracyCPA.com now. That's LARISEYCPA.com. I'm excited to share with you something special from our Lake Forest community, the Aesthetic Lounge Med Spa, located at 775 North Bank Lane in Lake Forest near Wisconsin Avenue. This just isn't any spa. They offer an amazing blend of traditional spa services plus the added benefit of medical procedures and treatments. In a relaxing and luxurious spa environment, you can enjoy a range of cosmetic and aesthetic treatments. These are all performed under the supervision of top medical professionals. The Aesthetic Lounge Med Spa provides skin care, facial rejuvenation, body contouring, laser hair removal, Botox, dermal fillers, chemical peels, and much more. What's great is that each treatment is tailored not just to enhance your appearance, but also to address specific skin concerns and to promote overall well-being. So if you're looking to pamper yourself and take your beauty routine to the next level, give the Aesthetic Lounge Med Spa a call at 224-768-8028 or visit them at their location on North Bank Lane. It's an experience your skin will thank you for. We'd also like to say we're thankful for our Patreon supporters, Otto, John C., Helen, Herrick, JM, and Paul G.
Hello, hello?
Hello.
Can you hear me?
I hear you.
Okay, good.
Are you in Deutschland still?
Just got into Luxembourg.
Have you tried the Luxemburger? Very tasty. Get it with cheese.
I don't think they have the burgers here anymore. It's all falafel and...
the largest concentration at one time, I don't know if it's still the case, the largest concentration of Luxembourg Americans was in the Skokie-Morton Grove area. And I know a guy, I just saw him the other night at a Christmas party, who was the U.S. Consul General to Luxembourg, and he's got a rich Luxembourg family history. So if you ever want to know more about Luxembourg,
I'll look him up.
With Dick Whittree, who's on the Skokie Plan Commission.
So my notes, what'd you think?
Pretty comprehensive, bud. I'll try to stick to. I had taken some notes too.
I know you got the guest, and I want to give you the respect and whatever, and him.
Yeah, no. I mean, look, there's no preconditions on the interview. You can ask him anything you want. I mean, you can ask him what his favorite flavor of ice cream is if you care. I mean, Ted is an open book. He's very, very forthcoming, and
he's got 1.2 million. So I think he's got more than Bailey now.
I hope so. I mean, I respect Darren Bailey personally, and I feel bad about what happened to his family. But the last election shows we can do better than him as the nominee.
I want us to stick on things that actually have a chance of winning in Illinois. I don't.
The tie-in. Obviously, we want to promote the event at Duffers, and I think Jeff's running a little late. He had to take his truck in for service or something. But
Jeff, what the hell?
Well, Ted's still not late.
Yeah. I'm telling you, man, this immigration thing, you have until you see it for yourself.
You're certainly welcome to ask Ted questions about it. That said, it is a federal issue, and he's running for governor. State issues are a little different. Now, the state stuck its nose into it with the Trust Act.
Hold on. It's a state issue if we have to give SNAP and all that other stuff, right?
Fair point.
That's
Fair
my
point.
that,
Yeah, no, no,
so
no. Look, I'm sure he'll, like I said, there's no holds barred on it. That said, there are things that governors can do that congressmen and senators, it's like asking a school board member what their take is on federal tax policy. Nice to hear, but they have no impact on it.
what is actionable? I don't want to hear
Yeah,
that.
no,
Pre, pre,
he's got, I think he's got, really good plans. I mean, uh, I'm sure he'll talk about Wirepoints. That's like an online
is it a
publication
business?
that
Yeah.
he co-founded a few years ago. It has been an excellent resource for a lot of great ideas for state government. So, and showing what's wrong, but also more importantly, like you always say, it's one thing to point at problems, it's another thing to offer solutions. So, I think Ted will be able to do both. I think he'll be able to identify problems and offer solutions. The question is, can he get elected? And then once he is elected, it's probably going to be a overwhelming majority Democratic legislature. So how is he not Rauner 2.0 in that, Rauner started out with a lot of great ideas, but Mike Madigan, who's now in federal prison in West Virginia at least until President Trump pardons him, but the um, Madigan blocked everything. And and Madigan's gone, but that same mentality is still down in Springfield in the state legislature. So how do you get stuff passed? It's one thing to say I'm for all these ideas. Does he do a bunch of executive orders like Trump? Can he? I don't know. I don't know if Illinois law is the same as federal law. So, and they control the Democrats control the Illinois Supreme Court. So he could try to do executive orders in the Illinois Supreme Court, which is majority Democrat. Might throw it out. So we'll talk. I mean, these are questions for Ted. And Ted's the candidate.
Well, is number one property taxes?
Property taxes is a big issue. Yes. And
But both sides of the aisles. When I say number one, here's Ted. Welcome. Welcome
Morning,
to
there
guys.
he is.
How are you guys doing?
Good. How are you, Ted?
I'm doing well, thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for joining us.
Sure thing.
For our audience here, which is mostly Lake Forest,
Okay,
Ted Dabrowski, you're one of the Republican candidates
correct.
for governor in the primary, which is on St. Patrick's Day, March 17th. I can't think of a better ballot name than Dabrowski on St. Patrick's Day,
That's
but
all right. We'll take it.
the luck of the Polish. Yeah, so you're here, and the reason we have you on this week is next week on December 20th, Saturday morning. I believe it's from 10 o'clock to 11:30. Did I get the time right? I've got it here, and we'll correct it if it's wrong.
is that the Duffers gig?
Yes, Duffer. He will be at Duffers. Excuse me, 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock to 10:30. Let's get that
Yeah,
right.
10's too late. I can't stay up that late.
Yeah. AM. He will be there in the
Oh.
morning. It's bright and early. Jeff will be serving complimentary breakfast. Our friend Jeff Urso.
Wait, we got a
owner of
political
Duffers.
thing at 10 in the morning? That's awesome.
That's late. That's
You
late
gotta
in the
get
day
started
for
early.
political. Yeah, that's late. He probably got 10 more appearances after that day. So, because I know you've been running around the state. There's 102 counties.
I have.
So, Ted, why don't we take a step back? So, you're going to be at Duffers Saturday morning, December 20th, from 9 a.m. to 10:30. There's no charge. It's just an informal meet and greet with you. Jeff Urso, the owner of Duffers, who'll be joining us shortly, I guess, is offering up some nice breakfast, and people are certainly
great.
welcome to stay for lunch because he offers a great lunch selection there at Duffers. But it's an informal chance to get to meet you. There's, again, no charge for anyone to show up, and they can talk to you. I've been told by a lot of folks you're very approachable and answer questions pretty thoroughly on stuff.
I try
So
to.
before we start asking you a bunch of questions, I'm going to ask you the opening question. Introduce yourself, tell us about you, and why you're running for governor.
Sure. Yeah, so I was born in Chicago. My parents were both immigrants. My mom from Ecuador. She came when she was a 19-year-old. My father from Poland. He came after he escaped communist Poland. And they came right here to Chicago, to Illinois, and they came to make their American dream. And so born here, They were strong proponents of education and assimilation, massive, proponents of that. So, I got myself educated, two other siblings, and I got to travel the world. I was with Citibank, career-wise with Citibank in Mexico for 6 years, and in Poland for 9. And so I, cut my teeth in difficult, growing economies. Had just an amazing experience working with all kinds of people. Eventually, came back. I had 4 children overseas. Two of my kids were born in Mexico, 2 in Poland. And I said, hey, we got to get back to America. And I wanted my children to experience America. And of course, when we came back, we came right back to the Chicagoland area because, this is the international amazing place where my parents got started. And so, we've been in Wilmette for 18 years. I've been married 31 years and just have had a great experience up here in the North Shore. And while I was working in Poland, I said, hey, I'm helping all these other countries get better. And I didn't like what was going on in my own country. So I said, hey, why don't I go back and get engaged? And so I got a public policy degree at the University of Chicago and found my way into a Illinois think tank, Illinois Policy Institute. Worked there for 6 years. Immediately started fighting back against the taxes, the property taxes, the corrupt government, the budgets that were always quote balanced, but yet we were always in debt and taxes kept going up. And I fought that for a long time there. Then I joined up with a gentleman named Mark Glennon in Wilmette with Wirepoints. And in Wirepoints, we were even hitting harder, very data centric. Love to make our arguments based on the facts, the data, in a reasonable, logical, persuadable way. And I did that for another 8 years with Wirepoints. And I said, hey, nobody's grabbing onto these ideas that we should be doing and fixing the problems. And I just didn't see anybody doing it. So I said, hey, I got to stop complaining. I got to jump in there and do it. And so here I am. And I decided to run for governor. It's not something I ever thought of. I've never run for office. But I said, hey, I've been studying this stuff for 15 years. I know it inside out. So, the big part I have to do now is persuade people to let me have a chance at leading this great state. We should be a top 5 state. We should be a great state. We should be competing with Texas and Florida and Tennessee and North Carolina. And we're getting our butts kicked, right? We're losing people. We're losing companies. It's hard to be proud of Illinois when people joke about us with the crime and the illegal immigration and all that. So, hey, this is I think a great chance to turn this state around, and I'm ready to help lead that.
Let me give you the lay of the land here. Joe is the token Republican. I call him the blowhard. I'm conservative, but I don't follow the rule books or whatever. I just know what sounds like common sense to me. My pollsters are bartenders and cab drivers, and
exactly.
You brought up immigration, and I was intrigued by your story because it's kind of similar to mine. Let's see, my dad, they spent 6 years in a displaced persons camp in Latvia, and they came over in 51. They got sponsored by a church. They had to show they're going to be a productive member of society to get in.
Mm-hmm.
My grandfather was a doctor. My grandmother was a dentist, and the choice they were given was, okay, if you want to continue to be a dentist, ma'am, you can only go to Australia. Or if you want to practice medicine, sir, you can go to the United States, but you have to start all over and improve yourself. And one of the things that I saw in their papers was they had to show they'd be a productive member of society, and it took a long time to get going. Your dad came in what, 52?
He escaped in 52 and eventually made it here a few years later. He went through Sweden, Germany, Canada, and finally made it to.
Tell about the boat.
Oh yeah, so yeah, my father, so he went. He really had an influence on me because and I had a hard time understanding him when I was young, because he as a 14-year-old was a messenger in the Warsaw Uprising, and so he was, anyway, he was engaged. He took 3 bullets, one in the shin that almost took out his leg, one zipped his ear, a little piece of his ear missing, and one was lodged in his armpit. So he was this tough guy, 14 years old, drinking and smoking, and so eventually he joins the Merchant Marines in Poland, and they had a big training ship called the Dabrowski, and at one of those trips he was in Malmo, Sweden, and he said, "This is it. I'm gonna risk it." He jumped ship. Went to
Yeah.
the Swedish authorities, asked for asylum. They threw him in a kind of a jail cell for a while they reviewed it, and they gave him his freedom, and that was an amazing thing. But so when he finally makes it to America, and I'm living under this man, just trying to understand why he was so intense about America and about freedom, and he hated anything that
Mhm.
infringed on his rights. And I just thought he was way too hardcore. But then I didn't understand the slippery slope, how this government becomes more and more oppressive every time they keep taking more of your freedoms. And so anyway, this is the man that shaped me for a lot, and it helps me understand what an ugly path we're on right now in America, and this socialism and the people that are trying to take us that way.
Well, I think the reason I want to spend so much time on these stories is I try to experience it. Okay, thank God I was born in Queens, New York, and not, in Poland or Latvia or whatever. And it was I consider myself a member of the Lucky Sperm Club. And what I don't get is I also have an in-law that jumping off the boat thing. He was in East Germany. My brother-in-law's uncle. They would do a cruise ship to I think Cuba, and they would get by the Keys, and that'd be a popular place to hop off and have a relative come by with a boat to pick you up. That's how hard your family and then my family had to
Yeah.
come in. And I don't think people understand why we take such umbrage that these people that get let in, yes, we're a nation of immigrants, but you have to show that you're a productive member of society, or some kind of vetting. I know you're running for governor, but what I want to focus on is these people get let in. I don't know how many are in Illinois, that it's all undocumented, but how the heck can we find out how these people, who these people are, or record them, have them be productive? Because these people coming in, this is adding to our inflation. Why am I going there, Ted? Is because the number one issue that I think that both Democrats and Republicans can get behind, that you can get behind, is property taxes. Why are
Hmm.
property taxes going up so much? Why are rents going up? Because it's supply and demand. You have more people come in, rents go up, and prices rise. That's an issue that I think is number one. How can you help in that? Did I kind of summarize that? Because Joe will clean me up, but that's how the cab driver and the bartender understands it. Ted, what can you do?
No, you're absolutely right. I think it kind of starts with the rule of law. Either we have laws and we follow them, or we don't, right? And if you don't follow laws, then you have a mess. And we all know that, whether it's in the household with our kids or with government. And so, like I always have to say, and people, I've taken a strong stance on illegal immigration. I love the immigrant story. My parents as immigrants. I've lived in Ecuador for when I was young, where my mother's from. I got to work in Poland for 9 years. I've been in these countries. I worked in Mexico for 6. I really appreciate, foreigners and what they bring to this country. But, if you have open borders and no rule of law, you have a mess.
Productive.
Productive, yeah, productive for sure. And again, I told you my parents wanted me to assimilate. They wanted me to be American so I could compete with the rest of America. Well, we value our heritage, we value the countries we come from, but man, we're Americans first, and there's no doubt about that. So when you talk about all these problems, like the affordability, it's not just the immigration. I'll tell you that, because we're so messed up that we don't build housing anymore. If you look at housing starts in the country, we're at the bottom of the country. And a lot of that has to do with losing people, right? The property tax is highest in the country. Who wants, it's a mess. But the illegal immigration adds a problem. When you add that many people in one shot, they take over some of the housing, which of course it creates competition. They lower wages because you have more immigrants here taking some of the jobs. So all those Latinos who came here legally earlier, and they've lost jobs to illegal immigrants, and they've had their wages go down. So it creates all kinds of problems, which is really what behooves us to work with the federal government, focus on these criminals who are out of here, and then get back to normal.
Ted, we're pointing the fingers, and Joe knows this is how I like to operate with the show is anybody can point the finger, the index finger, but what about the thumb? How do we correct this? What's the plan? How do we fix this?
So you talking about the property taxes themselves, or?
Well, property taxes, yes, number one. And why are property taxes coming up? Because of the extra people that are
Yeah.
coming in, supply and demand, whatever you want to call it. I don't want to. what I'm trying to do is to get something where the conservative Democrats can quit messing around and hop on board and let's talk common sense here. What is your plan to correct it?
Yeah, so when we talk about property taxes, we've got the most units of government in the country. I'm a huge fan of local government. I love local government. That's how it should be. Everything should be pushed down for local decision making. The problem we have in Illinois is we have duplication of government. We have overlapping governments, and they're so wasteful. They're the part of the bureaucracy. It's why we're so fat. So, I can give the example where I am, right not far from you. I'm in New Trier district in Wilmette. We have a high school district, and within that high school district coterminous are 6 feeder districts. All 7 of those governments have superintendents, assistant superintendents, and the bookkeepers and the lawyers. It's all duplication. It's all waste. And they all every one of them makes over $300,000 in salary. And so that means massive pensions. All that stuff should be collapsed into one. Take our government as well. I got Wilmette City, Wilmette Library District, Wilmette Park District. Why are they separate? A watchdog like me, I can't go attend tax meetings to figure out what they're doing to me. They don't coordinate their taxation. They all race to raise taxes. That should be one unit of government. So a big part of that is just consolidating units of government. A second thing I would do, if you look at like superintendent salaries across the state, the highest one is in Dolton, Illinois. We all know Dolton for the mess the mayor's created there.
5 investigates a local public school superintendent who's made more than $500,000 a year paid by the taxpayers of South Suburban Dolton and Riverdale. And according to census data, people who live in those communities make on average 1/10 of what they're paying this superintendent.
So what have they gotten for all this money they've paid? Here's Regina Waldrop joining us live. Regina.
Alex, Allison, NBC5 Investigates started asking questions about this superintendent a few weeks ago. In a letter dated today, he submitted his resignation.
My name is Dr. Kevin J. Nolte, Superintendent of Schools.
Kevin Nolte has been with Dolton School District 148 for 9 years. In that time, his salary and benefits have nearly doubled to more than $500,000 for this past school year. He's paid more than any other public school superintendent in Illinois, even more than most of the presidents of Illinois public universities. But during Nolte's time in charge, the Illinois State Board of Education says the Dolton district finances have steadily gotten worse, to the point where the state put the district on its watch list, the only district in Cook County that currently has this lowest rating. That didn't keep the school board from giving Nolte another raise of $60,000 over the next 2 years in a raucous session this past March.
Wow. Oh, my God. It's not going to end well.
Residents there spoke up.
$500,000? This district is on financial watch with the state. I don't know if you all knew that.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Financial watch. Why are we considering such an amount?
We have been asking that same question with no response from anyone until this afternoon, when Nolte's attorney reached out to say that Nolte resigned from his job effective today. His attorney saying in part because school board members had launched a smear campaign against him, riddled with baseless accusations. Keep in mind, this is not the first time that Nolte has had issues with the school districts he's worked for. Like this. In 2012, the Lincolnwood School Board voted to dismiss Nolte from the job he had then as Lincolnwood's assistant superintendent for business. The district said Nolte failed to properly account for district funds, failed to make scheduled payments on 2 multi-million-dollar loans, which then defaulted, and failed to adequately account for $1.4 million in funds. Nolte said all the charges were false and politically motivated. He sued the district, but his case dismissed by the court. He then went to work for Harvey School District 152 in charge of business operations. It was there where NBC5 Investigates found, according to court records, that Nolte failed to inform the board of a transfer of $3.8 million out of the district's reserve funds. It's not clear where the money went, but the superintendent suspended Nolte with pay. The school board eventually brought him back, though he left a year later for Dolton. Now, Nolte's former deputy superintendent in Dolton has filed a whistleblower lawsuit, saying she was fired earlier this year because she'd raised concerns related to fiscal mismanagement by Nolte, including his handling of $13 million of federal funds. Nolte has denied everything, saying the deputy superintendent was fired for cause. But over the past 2 decades, while Nolte oversaw finances for these and other school districts, NBC5 Investigates found he was dealing with personal financial issues as well. We found 8 lawsuits claiming that Nolte had not paid credit card bills and rent, totaling more than $52,000. We also found this foreclosure action, saying Nolte with his then wife hadn't made payments on their home's mortgage for a year and a half. Eventually, they paid off the mortgage when they sold the house. We also found this, an arrest by the Illinois State Police from March 2024 for driving under the influence of alcohol on the I-90 tollway near Belvedere. This past November, Nolte pled no contest, according to his attorney, of misdemeanor DUI in order to serve a year of supervision and probation. So his attorney says Nolte chose today to resign because he feels, quote, he has left the district in the best position with everything off to a good start. The attorney also attributes Nolte's high salary to his working both as the superintendent and the business officer. Nolte will most likely immediately start collecting his state-paid retirement.
In this case, you've got the Dolton superintendent makes $450,000 a year. And not only that, in Dolton, about, I forget what the number is, 15% of kids can read at grade level. So they can't read. We're paying that kind of money. You know what this, they retire in their 50s. It becomes massive pensions. And who has to pay for that? The bus, the Uber driver, the ordinary people have to pay that. We should cap all that, end all that. We've got pensions are creating a huge problem. We should move to 401ks tomorrow for all new government workers. Constitutional, it's simple. The guy who's driving the Uber, he's got a 401k, maybe he's got a 401k, but that's what everybody else has. We have to stop digging the hole with more pension debt. So there's a whole bunch of stuff, and I've written about it. I've analyzed it, I've proposed it, and so all those ideas are ready to go.
I'm still on property taxes here, and Joe and Ted, you guys, this is not the we have no fact checkers here, Ted. We are in the bar room, we're in the taxi cab here.
Hey,
but
can I just say this? There are no fact checkers, but I'm on record for all this stuff in the Wall Street Journal, in all the Tribune. So the good news is I've been vetted by a lot of people.
Wall Street and Tribune are dead. 63% of my property taxes, is that going to schools, Ted and Joe?
Yeah, school districts and yeah.
Okay. So,
and like you said, there's a lot of duplication there. I mean, here in Lake Forest, we have, elementary districts with superintendents and assistant superintendents and business managers.
Got it. Sorry, yeah. I'm rushed, but it's just, I know Ted's press, but how much duplication is there? If it's 63%, what should the number be, Ted?
Well, hey, here, Florida has 67 school districts. We have 850, right? So you could slash like crazy, and the number of bureaucrats would be, it's a massive number.
A half?
Is using property taxes the best way to fund schools? I know this debate's been going on at least 35 years, as I can recall, but
yeah, listen, taxes, which taxes do you like, right? I don't like any of them. So you got to go for the one that's the broadest and the least damaging and all that. Our property taxes are high, and we spend a lot on property taxes, but that's because we have the most inflated spending in education almost in the country. So listen to this. Indiana spends $7,000 per student less than we do on average. Same thing for Florida. So if you take $7,000 times 2 million students, you're talking about $14 billion in lower property taxes that we could be paying in Illinois. It's all going to the administrative fat, all the pensions. People get they retire in their 50s. We've got double dippers. I mean, we've got double dippers of pensions right here in Wilmette. I think also in Lake Forest. I could go on and on. You've got accumulating teachers.
We're at 60%. What should the number be? 30?
I'm not going to give you a number right now, but it should be a lot lower. Yeah, you could.
Ted, that's where you're losing me. What I want to know, what the plan is. Because what we're doing is we're poking at the fat guy, Pritzker. Well, the other fat guy besides me. If I don't want this to be about that. What I want to know is, hey, we're inflated by 30% or whatever it is, because as you know, Ted, a problem well defined is more than half solved. And what I want to hear how we're going to do it, because if you come in and say, you know what, we got to cut, well, how much do we have to cut? And will you have the power to be able to do it being a Republican governor? Because Rauner didn't do anything.
Right. So I just told you we could spend 14 billion less and be at the same levels Indiana and same levels Florida, and they have the same results we do. So we could, in theory, cut $14 billion. Now let's get to the reality, right? In Illinois, I'm one of the few people who talk about the problems in public. So I know you mentioned the Wall Street Journal and all that. The big fight is to tell the truth to the rest of the Illinoisans who don't know it. They hear the media, and then they hear Pritzker. Pritzker talks about record graduation rates and all that. We have to get the message out about what the problem is, and then we have to have the fight to fix it. And look, they have supermajorities in the legislature right now. Democrats do. So this is going to be a fight about telling the truth first. It's not like we can just go in there and wave a wand and we change the property taxes. We have to win the battle of the information first, and the persuasion to the center Democrats who say, I'm sick of these property taxes. I'm now listening to the problem. They don't even know the problem.
Can I hold you to half? Can we cut it in half, Ted? Come on.
Yeah. Oh,
okay.
I don't.
30%.
No, I'm telling you, we can save billions. But it's going to be a fight, and it's going to be.
I went to state school. What does billions mean? Can we're paying 60% now. Can we get it to 30 or what? I'm not going to. Okay, I won't hold you to a number, but can you give me a range what it should be?
Yeah, but look, we're spending 14 billion more than we should compared to Indiana. 14 billion more than we should compared to Illinois. That's That's massive. That would be at least almost half of. We're spending about $34 billion in property taxes on education right now.
Ted, I want to ask you about the pension thing, because I think that is a big, big silent driver of what is wrong with the property taxes and why they're so high. Our own Mayor Randy Tack has sounded the alarm about the whole debate between, and maybe you can explain this to the audience, the difference between tier 1 and tier 2 and all this. But pensions are, for example, here in Lake Forest, there's a discussion about whether to add more firefighters. Well, the city has calculated, because of the pensions, that anytime you add a new firefighter, it's at least $11 million in cost over the lifetime of that firefighter because primarily because of the pensions. So what is the problem with the pensions? Talk about the tier 1, tier 2 thing, and then explain your solution about 401ks and how that could solve a lot of this property tax cost, because that's, I think, a big driver of what is happening here.
Well, it drives the chaos in this whole state, right? At the state level and at the local level. So the problem with pensions is the government's making promises that are far into the future. They are lifetime promises, and the government is the one who is going to pay those pensions. Different from a 401k where the government gives people, or in a private sector, the company gives money to the retiree, and the retiree manages their future. So we have made so many promises. We've overpromised. We have people retiring in their 50s, multi-million-dollar pensions. It's not affordable, and nobody knows what the real cost is, and it's corrupted. So, and you will see that this is the typical problem. People retiring in their 50s after 30 years of work, and they're going to live more than 30 years in retirement, and it's the taxpayers that have to keep funding the bill. Tier 2, it was passed in 2010. It was meant to make those pensions less attractive, more affordable. And so there's a pretty big difference between tier 1 and tier 2. The tier 1s are still happy because they're getting big pensions. The tier 2 aren't happy because they're not getting big pensions like the tier 1. And so that's being unwound now as Illinois' finances have gotten better after COVID with all that free money. They're starting to move the tier 2 back towards tier 1, which means we're going to be in bigger trouble. I don't like pensions only because it would be far easier for government to know its cost when it gives money to a retiree in a 401k account. Here's the money, and now it's the retiree's job to manage their retirement. That's what we need to move to. So that's why I say going forward, we should move to 401k accounts, just like everybody else in the private sector has. Get the government out of the pension business because it's way too political, way too difficult to manage.
Is it a union thing?
The existing yes, of course it's a union thing because most of these employees are.
Are unions still? I'm looking at the Chicago Teachers Union and all the corruption and missing laptops and all that stuff. Are unions still going to be a thing in 10 years?
behind every single problem we have in Illinois, there's the public union behind it, right?
Right.
It's the case. And in particular, the teachers' unions, and in particular, the Chicago teachers' unions, they have way too much power. But before I blame the unions, you know who the problem is? It's the
No.
legislators. It's the legislators, because the unions only derive their power from what laws are passed. And if you look at Illinois, we just put in the Constitution, we enshrined the union powers of collective bargaining in the Constitution. We enshrined their pensions in the Constitution. Lawmakers did that. So the only way to get out of this is to strip their powers. But that's another tough thing that you mentioned. Nothing's going to be easy when we change things here.
How would you handle, because the cry from a lot of these employees is we were promised this pension.
Yeah.
We got hired, 20 years ago, 15 years ago, and we were promised this. Would you grandfather in the existing employees, or would you just shift everyone currently over? How would you handle that?
No, to the 401ks would be all new workers going forward, right? Because that's constitutional. If we want to make any other changes to tier 1 and tier 2, that's all going to be, you have to amend the Constitution. So there has to be a big powwow between people. Here's the danger for the public sector employees, and I know they like their pensions, and I would too, because they're big, they were promised. However, we got two things going on. People are fleeing the state, and unless you put a wall around Illinois, those public pensioners got to worry, because if too many people keep leaving, and especially the big companies, there won't be the money to pay those pensions. So there will be some form of insolvency, call it what you want.
Ted, help me understand. This is the cab driver and the bartender asking a question here.
Sure.
If I work at a company for 20 years and they say, "Hey, thanks for working. Here's 2 weeks severance. See you later. Nice to know you." Why is that okay?
Why? Somebody tell me the taxi driver, what guarantees does he or she have? What pension does he or she have? They have none of that, and yet they're forced to pay higher and higher taxes over and over and over again for the public sector workers that have all the guarantees. And that's what's so messed up about Illinois. And Illinois will not work. It will go bankrupt if that doesn't change, because you can't have the public servants being the ones that get all the protections.
I see all the productive people in my family and my friends that are like now going to Florida, Texas. Okay, they're leaving. We start messing with the taxes even more. More businesses are going to go to Wisconsin, Pleasant Prairie, and all we're going to have left is these people that are coming in that are getting the handout, no incentive to work, and we're not having enough children. So you got Gen Z that's checked out, that isn't motivated and they don't want to work. What's going to happen at the bottom? It's an upside down pyramid.
Well, this is why I've been yelling about this for 15 years, and I'm tired of writing about it. I'm tired. I've been talking about this out-migration for a long time. You're nailing it you're nailing it. The people that are leaving Illinois make a lot of money. The people that are coming into Illinois make very little money, and there's a huge gap. So one, we're trading off, good taxpayers versus a lot of people are going to be takers, right? That's not a working formula. Two, we're net losing people. That's another. Then you got companies like Citadel. When you start losing headquarters like Caterpillar and Boeing and those kind of names, Morton Salt, man, you're in deep trouble. So my point is, look, we're struggling to get change in Illinois. This addresses kind of your question. Why am I still talking about the problems? Because if everybody knew what the problems were, we would have addressed them long ago. If the centrist Democrat would have understood it, he or she would have agreed with us, and we would have changed this long ago. We're not even at the understanding of the problem stage. We're still trying to communicate with independents and centrists that we have a problem and that we have solutions, but you can't fix a problem you don't acknowledge first. And that's what I'm trying to get to. And not with hardcore Republicans. Hardcore Republicans know with our problems. It's the centrists, it's right now, it's some of the black community who's seen the illegal immigration. They're finally awake saying, holy cow. You got some of the Latinos who don't like the DEI. They don't like what's happening in the community. You've got the centrist moms in the suburbs who don't like losing parental control. They're all listening now. So this is our chance to kind of say, hey, let's join together and take on the insanity that's been going on.
If all the Republicans, or conservatives would get off the couch and vote in local elections, would we not have these problems? Because the turnout is so poor. Why they only turn out for Trump or a presidential election? how do we get out the vote? I see all these Republican committees and I hear all these people and they give these hollow words. That doesn't motivate me to come out and vote. How do we get more Republicans to come out and help in the local elections?
Yeah, well, Ted, I mean, you've probably done the numbers of if everyone who voted for Donald Trump in 2024 votes for the Republican gubernatorial nominee in 2026, that Republican gubernatorial nominee wins, hypothetically, if the Democratic turnout stays the same. So how do you, I mean, you've got two elections to worry about. First, you've got to get through the primary.
Correct.
Like we said, March 17th, and it is a contested primary with other Darren Bailey,
Sheriff
Rick
Mendrick.
Sheriff Mendrick and Rick Heidner.
Yeah, so those Sheriff Mendrick from DuPage County and Rick Heidner, who's a business owner. Darren Bailey obviously was the nominee last time around and a former state senator. But how do you, assuming you are the Republican nominee, how do you then pivot in a general election in a state that Donald Trump lost and hasn't elected a Republican statewide since Bruce Rauner and Judy Bart Topinka in 2014? Mm-hmm. How do you move the needle on that? What's the path to victory to get to 50% plus one?
Yeah, 50% plus one. Look, I think there's a lot of things going on. Pritzker got 54.9% last election. That's after spending $400 million in the last two cycles. You would think somebody who spends $400 million in two cycles to get himself elected would be sitting at 60%, 65%, 70%, but he's not. 54.9. Since then, we've had the Trump election. We saw a good move in Chicago go from 12% to 22% for Trump. We saw a place like Cicero move towards Trump. We saw some working class townships move towards him. So there was a move. We've also had the illegal immigration since then, right? So, you've got the black community super unhappy. We've had the gerrymandering stuff proving how bad we are. We've got this crime issue going on. This would be a third term for Pritzker, a third term. And I think there's fatigue. So that 54.9 is a ceiling, and it's not going to go, I don't think it's going to go better for him. It's only going to go down. So if there's a lack of enthusiasm, he's also running for president. So he's moved far left. He's not doing any of the reforms that Illinois need. He's not going to pass. We talked about the unions a minute. He's not going to pass any reforms that benefit ordinary people because he'd have to go against the public unions to do that. So he's boxed. Now then it's on us on our side, on the Republican side, to say, here's our opportunity. Here's why. You've got the property tax issue. Pritzker doubled the gas tax. He's spending billions on illegal immigrants. He's letting, we just saw yesterday, 1,700 criminals back out on the streets because of his sanctuary policies. The cards are stacked against him. Now the question is, he's got billions of dollars and he's got the media on his side. Can we break into that? I think we can. I think he's so extreme. We haven't even talked about the cultural side, right? Boys and girls bathrooms. In Wilmette here, we're teaching transgenderism in the 4th grade. You can have your own views of the culture stuff, but in my opinion, you don't teach kids that.
Live your own life, but don't have me pay for it.
Exactly.
Number one, because what I'm trying to do is bring up stuff that we can get we need the conservative Democrats is my 2 cents. Now that I'm a political expert now, Ted.
I don't even think conservative. I think just reasonable common sense.
Common sense, yeah. Taxi cabs and drivers and bartenders.
Well, and I will say, Ted, there is a number here that I didn't mention earlier that I think is a path to victory for you or whoever the nominee for governor is. 2020, in the 2020 general election, same day that Joe Biden handily beat Donald Trump here in Illinois and won the election, allegedly. But in 2020, that same day, I think I forgot the exact number, but there was like a 10-point swing there was a referendum on the ballot that day for J.B. Pritzker's quote unquote progressive income tax, which was basically let's tax the rich people. And it failed. It lost.
Right. It failed.
It failed. So there are a ton of people out there that voted for Joe Biden and voted no on J.B. Pritzker's tax.
You're absolutely right.
That's the secret sauce right there to win it.
Correct. 3.1 million people voted against the progressive tax. 2.25 million people voted for Pritzker. So there is a lot of people out there dissatisfied, at least willing to vote against taxes. You're absolutely right.
Number one issue to get both sides together. I want to focus on that because I think Joe's getting a little bit right on me. Property tax is number one. Pension debt, number two. Number three on the list is public safety and crime. Can we agree that's the third thing that everybody gives a crap about?
Well, certainly in Chicago, certainly in the Chicago and suburbs.
Well, and I do
Right,
want, Ted, I want to, that's a good segue because I want to talk about the crime issue. Obviously, the big thing in the news the last few weeks was that horrific incident on the CTA Blue Line downtown with a woman being set on fire by a guy that had been arrested, what, like 70 times
72 times
beforehand. And even here in Lake County, because we have a Eric Reinhardt, who is a woke state's attorney in the tradition of Kim Foxx, letting people out. And we've had, there was a serious carjacking in Libertyville a couple years ago with a pregnant woman and her toddler. There's been lootings here in Lake Forest
Can you quit cherry pecking these headlines? That's what it drives me nuts about. There's crap everywhere. How do we fix this? The Safety Act? Like, what do we do?
So, Ted, let's talk about the crime issue. What can the governor do to help lower crime, and that JB Pritzker is not doing?
I'll tell you, number one, before any policy changes, you got to back the police. The police morale is so messed up here. When you take the Brandon Johnson and Pritzker and how anti-police they are, just flipping that, increasing the morale so that they feel like they're backed, that somebody has their back. You got to, Lieutenant Snelling said it well the other day, take the handcuffs off the police and put them on the criminals. So that's number one, police morale. Number two is, this Safety Act, we don't need to tweak it. Like Pritzker said, we need to get rid of it. We need to bring cash bail back, and we need to pass laws that incarcerate bad guys while they're waiting for trial if they've done the kind of crimes they're doing. And so that's big. You've got to get back to car chases and foot chases. Let the police do their job. So that to me is key. We have to hold these prosecutors to account as well. I love data. I love transparency. I tried to see how transparent I could be about how bad Kim Foxx was. We couldn't get hold of the data in a way to just really, show how bad she was. So we need to do that. And then the sentencing as well. A lot of this stuff is these guys aren't getting sentenced. They're right back on the streets. We have to hold the bad guys. So get rid of the Safety Act, give the police back their power, and of course, really hammer on prosecution and on sentencing. Because if you look at this, the one case you just talked about, 72 arrests, never held sufficiently long in jail to keep that person out of the public's way.
Do you think we need to build more state prisons? Because if we are putting the argument against some of this is our prisons are overcrowded and we're running out of room, so we have to pick and choose who we put in prison.
They have been. I mean, if you just look at Cook County Prison, it's at half the. I forget what the precise numbers are, but it's at half of what it used to be. So I think there's room for that. Let's have that problem first. Let's get back to law and order. But I will say this though, because it's not a single pronged thing. A big problem we have in Chicago and Illinois is we don't create jobs anymore. We don't have. If you look at Pritzker 7 years, it's the fourth worst economic growth in the country. Fourth worst. Chicago, of the 15 big cities, the worst. We don't create opportunity anymore, right? And this is the problem we have. We are bad. If you look at Florida and Texas, their job creation, they've created over 1 million jobs each in the last 7 years. In Illinois, it's almost zero. So you can't expect people to find something new unless you create a great environment for it. And we have to get back to that mentality that we should be a growth state, a successful state.
Ronald Reagan said the best social program is a job. And
exactly.
Yeah, when people are, full employment and a good economy doesn't eliminate every problem.
Black unemployment in Chicago. Black unemployment in Chicago in the last 7 years is the worst among the 15 biggest cities in the country. The black performance, despite all the monies and all the programs and all the stuff that Pritzker and Preckwinkle and Lightfoot and Johnson have done, we're still last on pretty much everything. Poverty among the 15 largest cities. It's all failed, right? You have to get back to good old-fashioned economic growth.
What needs to happen for you to be able to do something, Ted? Because I'm sorry, I'm envisioning you, hey, God bless America if you win, but you're in there for 4 years and you're handcuffed. You can't do anything. What realistically will you be able to do in 4 years or even 8 years?
Hey, listen. If I get in, that means we've had a sea change, right? That's number one. If I get in, if a Republican gets in, that means we were able to persuade enough people to come our
Wait,
way.
hold on. What was Rauner a sea change?
Right. I think it's tougher now. I think it's tougher now. We've
Okay.
lost a lot of conservatives. You know, think about how many people we've lost to Florida and Tennessee in the last few years, including
True.
Rauner, including Griffin.
Yeah,
So,
I was
you know,
going to say,
and listen,
Bruce Rauner is now a Florida resident.
Bruce Rauner, Griffin, they're all gone. Hey, and so not only are they all gone, but the money's gone. You know, the amount of money right now for Republicans is tough. We're having to fight hard to raise money. So everything is tougher. So if we get in, it's because people came over, they crossed the line because they heard something different. That said, Rauner made massive number of mistakes. And what he didn't do, one is he didn't use the bully pulpit. You know, he thought he could outmaneuver Madigan in the state house. He thought he could outmaneuver the unions. And we saw what happened to him. He kept getting his, you know, what handed to him. So the bully pulpit is really important. Don't forget we have the department head nomination. So, you know, imagine if I were governor tomorrow, you know, my head of the Department of Education would be saying DEI canceled, right? Now, there'd create all kinds of fights, right? The lawmakers say it's unconstitutional, against the law, but that's what we have to do. It's got to be a battle. It's got to be a 4-year battle. And I'll tell you what the 4-year battle is. It's to continue to persuade the independents and the centrist Democrats that the problems they're having in Illinois are tied to the Democrats' supermajorities and majorities they have in the House and in the Senate. And until you change that, you're not going to get change. So we have to help them connect the dots between failure and who's in charge. And that's the campaign for the next 4 years.
Governor Dabrowski would probably have to face, unless there is some miraculous thing at the local level with with a gerrymandered map, that you probably have to face supermajorities in both the Illinois House and the Illinois Senate. Now, Madigan is off in federal prison, but a lot of his minions are still in charge of the legislature down in Springfield. How is it that you won't be Rauner 2.0? How do you get something that can pass the House, the State House, and the State Senate? Could you do executive orders like President Trump has done sometimes? I mean, what's the game plan so that you're not just proposing a lot of great ideas that end up on the floor?
And listen, we have to remember that's where we are right now. So I you know, it's funny people say, but what will you do if you get elected? Well, what's the option? Not to get elected and leave it like it is? Right. I mean, you know, and you know, there's super majorities. Well, what do you want me to do? No, we need to go fight. I mean, this is a battle. And so I do think there's a couple causes that we can reach some agreement on with Democrats without.
Here, I'll give you one. I'll give you one that I'm freelancing here. Ted, help me out.
Yep. Let's
talk mental health here, because take the immigrants out of it. The homeless that's out there, okay, they're dysregulated. Okay, 1955. Hey, fact checkers, come get me. I think in 1955, we had about over 30,000 mental health hospital beds dedicated for people with mental health issues. In Illinois now, we have under 2,000. If a kid has an issue, the mom takes him to the ER room. They got nowhere to go, or they're waiting for days to get help. We're all caught up. The Republicans, the NRA, oh, don't take my guns away. The Democrats are saying, oh, well, you take the knives too then. Why aren't we talking about the intent, the mental health? You got to plan what you can do to help with this mental health crisis that we have?
We have a health care crisis. You know, I've looked at the budget recently, and we've had this massive increase in spending in everything that's called human family services, right? So DCFS, all that stuff. It's gone up by $8 billion, which doesn't mean anything to anybody, but it's a massive increase, almost a doubling of spending in the last 6 years. And I tried to figure out where the money's going. And you know, I can, you know, as an outsider, I can only get so far. We are wasting tons of money. And I promise you tons of that money could go to mental health, but it's not going there. Look, we spent $2 billion on healthcare for illegal immigrants in the last 3 years.
Yeah.
That's $3 billion that could have gone to mental health. I can tell you that there's so much waste. I love your pointed questions because they're good, but we have so much failure.
Give me the point. I need the pointed answers, Ted. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you know,
I think he's giving you them.
Yeah, I just told you $3 billion for illegal immigrants. What do you want me to say?
All right. Okay, fine.
$3 billion. That would
$2 billion on healthcare. You know, we have all these kids in our schools. You know, you're asking about the illegal. You know how much we're spending in illegal immigration in schools? It's phenomenal, and the numbers are massive.
Ted, bring it back to Lake Forest.
Hold on, Joe. I think we got to go back to schools and school choice and vouchers. Why is that such a hot button with the Democrats? I think every Democratic mom wants their kid in the best school possible. If they're in a crap neighborhood and they have an opportunity to go to a school that's better, you're growing up in North Chicago and you got a chance to go to Lake Forest High School. Talk to me about the school vouchers. Why are the blue people so against it? Because to me, it's common sense. It's give the money to the parents or the moms to figure out which school they want
It's
to
that
go
simple.
to.
It's that
Yeah.
simple. Yeah, so it's that simple. So here we go back again to what I'd say the difference between you and me right now is I think we're still educating people. If a parent knew, like there's all kinds of surveys that say blacks and Latinos love school choice, but that's only if you tell them, hey, would you like to get a voucher to send your kid to schools? They'd say, oh yeah, but most have never heard of school choice. And I've done tons of work in school choice. Most parents have no idea of what a voucher is, what a ESA is, education savings account. They are for it if they know it. So this is part of the whole education. Now, I was going to say that there's two things I think we can agree with Democrats on, even with supermajorities. One is on the property taxes, because at some point they're going to have to give in on that. They're going to be in deep trouble on that. But the second is education. I've done massive amounts of work on education. It's my biggest passion issue. Decatur, just 2% of black children at Decatur public schools in the third grade can read at grade level. 98% can't. Are you telling me that most mothers wouldn't take a voucher and look for a private school somewhere to go to a Catholic school somewhere? They absolutely would if they had the choice. And so one of the biggest campaigns I would run as governor is we should have universal school choice. Iowa just went to universal school choice. That means every parent, doesn't matter what income they are, what race they are, can access an $8,000 education savings account and go find a school of their choice, whatever it is. Same thing in Indiana, same thing in Ohio, same thing in Arizona, same thing in Florida. Universal school choice is spreading like crazy. We're like the red thumb that went the other way and killed school choice. So I would be the biggest proponent of school choice.
Why are we afraid of differentiation? Because what I've heard.
We're not afraid. No, we're not afraid. It's the unions that have all the control.
Okay, is that what it is? The unions?
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
Because we don't want to know what schools are bad or not. Because if it's a bad school, it should go out of business, just like a regular business.
Right. But they're saying, no, but see, they lie and they say, look, our schools aren't good because we don't have enough money, right? They don't tell you that we spend $7,000 more than Indiana or Florida, but they say we don't have enough money, you're right. They claim anybody who wants school choice is racist. They claim that they want to steal all the good kids from the schools. I said, what kids are we trying to steal from the Decatur public schools where just 2% can read at grade level? No, we're trying to be the champions for the black children in literacy. And we have to be the champions for literacy. It should be an indictment, an embarrassment for anybody who opposes school choice, because it's the same thing in Decatur, in Peoria, in Rockford, in Waukegan, in Cicero. Our kids don't read anymore. And we have to fight for literacy. If we want to have a republic and if we want to have a good workforce, our kids have to read.
I also think it's a middle class issue because
absolutely.
I know a lot of middle class folks, myself included, who would have sent their kids to private school, but can't economically justify spending thousands of dollars in private school tuition and thousands of dollars in property taxes to a school district. So it sounds like your plan would balance that out and give people
it would absolutely, and it's also a lot cheaper to send kids through a voucher or education savings accounts because we're spending too much money on bureaucracy. Here's the other. I want to make another important point. I also am really upset at even the best schools, and I'm talking about New Trier, and I know that some people have gotten upset with me. We don't teach excellence anymore. We've gotten away from excellence and merit and achievement, and and I'm sure it'd be some similar things in Lake Forest and others. As good as we think our suburban schools are, they're not what they used to be. And we need to get back to getting away from DEI, getting away from all this other stuff, and get back to merit, excellence, and
we need critical thinking, Ted. We need critical thinking.
There you go.
We need parents to give their kids bad news. All these helicopter parents that think their kid is wonderful, they're leaving it on to the first employer to be the bad news person. So you have these kids. They're taking crappy courses in college.
Yep.
I'm just thinking out Irish studies. I love the Irish. My wife's Irish. But you take that, you know what you're going to get a job in? You're going to get a job in sales, okay? And then they're complaining, the system's against me, okay? The colleges screwed you. The administration of the colleges screwed you, put you out in the system that you can't make money. How do we fix that?
Yeah. I mean, everything for me is about exposure. At the University of Illinois, they started passing, they had these loyalty, what do they call it? The loyal for the university professors, they had to sign like a loyalty equity thing, right? They're moving everybody to the left, and it's squeezing out anybody who's got a conservative view or just a critical thinking view. All that stuff has to be canceled. It starts with exposing it first. Most people don't even know it exists. We just got to fight for excellence across the board.
Well, we talk about the K-12 system a lot, but the state university system is also kind of a mess, right? Isn't there some things that need to be done? We have so many state universities.
They overlap. They overlap as well. They all have similar programs, and they're all middling programs a week. So we should maybe create centers of excellence and let each one thrive in what they're good at, kind of thing. There's a lot of good ideas out there. But it's also got the same problem as well with all the pensions. We're spending all the money is going to pensions, and it can't get to the classroom. You got huge amount of bureaucrats there making massive amounts of money.
That's a union.
The pension thing is a ticking time bomb. It certainly is.
They go. I don't know. They're just waiting for us to declare bankruptcy. Ted, the community colleges. I don't know the number off the top of my head, but I do know they're underutilized, and those are great programs there to get some kids in the trades and to get out into society and be productive right away. You got any thoughts on what we can do to increase the population of the community colleges to help the populations make money out there?
Well, you touched on what I think is one of the biggest potential success stories, and that's the trades. Everybody knows that, as I've traveled around the state, people are looking for capable people who can do trades, and they can't find them right now. And we've kind of, like you just said, people are doing all these crazy studies of whatever, this and that, and they're missing out on good value added skills. So we should, and there's a whole bunch of people, and I think that will be a bipartisan success, because I think the Black community, the Hispanic community, Democrats, they know that trades are a big deal, and we got so far away from it. So we should really focus on getting our community colleges to get good at that again. But we have to make things affordable. Listen, in the end, if we don't make things affordable in Illinois, we're just wasting our time, because people will keep fleeing. Other places are so much more affordable. And I don't just mean community college, but I just mean living here, because if you don't make it affordable, and if there's not enough opportunities, you just move to Indiana, you just move to Missouri, or you go down to Tennessee.
Yeah.
This is why number one is that property taxes and affordability, and gas taxes and things like that.
There's also an issue of what I call the permanent political class. As you said, J.B. Pritzker's running for a third term as governor. You've got Mike Madigan was in there 50 years. Yeah. It took federal prosecutors to get rid of him, or else he'd probably still be there. Lake Forest has term limits for its municipal government. Do you think we should bring in term limits for the governor and for the state legislature in other states?
I've never been a term limits fan, because I always thought that the best way to kick out bad legislators or bad officials is the voting booth.
Yeah.
But I've come around and said, in Illinois, you got the corrupt system. You've got the gerrymandering. I have no choice but to be for term limits.
Hold on, Ted. You brought the gerrymandering. Didn't that just turn, because you guys are the political experts here? Again, I'm the cab driver bartender. Didn't that get corrected now, like with Texas? Are we going to see anything like that in Illinois? Will that help correct things?
No, it didn't. No, there's just more gerrymandering going on across the country. So, right, the Reds gerrymandering more, the Blues gerrymandering more. We need to move to much more of a fair maps type thing.
What did the Supreme Court do, or what did I catch in the headline?
Texas gerrymandered more, and they're going to have even 5 more seats. So they're countering what we did in Illinois, right? They're still less gerrymandered than we are.
We are the granddaddy of gerrymandering here in Illinois. Exactly. We started it years before all these other states joined the party.
Yeah, so it leaves me with no choice but to support term limits. I really wish that just good old-fashioned voting. But even then, we talk about, and this is another crazy thing, we look at local elections in places like Lake Forest and Wilmette. 13 to 15% of people will turn out to vote for the local elections. That's a big problem too. We do them in the middle of the winter. We do them off cycle. People don't show up. The only people who show up are those with a vested interest, typically the unions, and therefore these aren't good elections. There's a whole debate, but I would put these elections in the normal period where we'd have more people voting. There's pros and cons to all that, but it's kind of hard to do anything when you have 13% of people showing up. Is that real democracy? I think it's voter suppression in the other way.
I saw a note on your coffers there, 1.2 million. Is that true? That's a good number. That's more than the others. Where'd this money come from? 250 from Uline? How is he doing? Could you tell him to come on the dang show?
Yeah. No, look, what I did before I ran is I said before I ran, I said, we need to come together as Republicans, as conservatives, as let's call them free markets, whatever it is, or just common sense, right? I wanted to have a breadth of donors from downstate, from Chicago, and the conservative base. And I was able to pull it off. It was great. It's key to get the Chicago. I'd love to see the Chicago corporate community get backed. They've been way too supportive or they haven't taken on the Lightfoots. They never took on Rahm Emanuel. They don't take on Brandon Johnson. We're finally seeing somebody take on Brandon Johnson, but it was good to get wealthy, engaged Chicago corporate donors. Uline came in, and so we got 100,000 2 days ago that said they would match another 100,000.
Nice.
So we're excited by that.
Let's get real simple
I was
here.
going to say,
You hold on. We've had Delmar on, who is with Bailey now, right? Mendrick, I don't know. I'm trying to get. He's going back and forth and coming on. And that fourth person I never heard of. Can you kind of tell me what's the difference amongst all of you? Because the moms that are sitting right now doing the laundry, listening to this show, waiting for us to get on to something more interesting. What is the difference between all the candidates on the Republican ticket?
Well, I'll do the primary pitching about myself, just because that's the one I know best. So, I mentioned that I've been doing this for 15 years on the side, a nonprofit. I've traveled the state. I've worked with grassroots groups. Again, focused on trying to bring taxes down, focused on the budgets, worrying about these pensions, I've tried to expose everything, right? This is what I said. You can't fix a problem that isn't acknowledged by our leaders. And so I've been doing this. I've testified in legislature. I've just worked really hard. And so I know the issues. I did a 100-page book. When you talk about pensions, I put the solutions in there. So I've done this for a long time. So I joke and I say, I know how the sausage is made now, and I know why it tastes so bad. And so I'm that person. I'm an outsider. I've never been in government. And which I'm proud of, by the way. The other thing for me is I'm from Cook County, and my running mate, Dr. Carrie Mendoza, she's an ER doctor. She works in the inner city emergency rooms. She's conservative. She's very strong. I met her when we opposed our school closings. She and I were fighting hard to reopen schools during COVID. We opposed the mask mandates in our schools and things like that. So I found a fighter in her. And she's very good, and she understands all the healthcare problems that are going on, and all the things that are getting in between a doctor and the patients. So we're both from Cook County. We know how to operate here. We know who our neighbors are. They may not agree with me, but I think I can at least have a good discussion with them. I know how they think, et cetera. So that's one thing. The other thing I have that I think is helpful for people deciding is here's the key to beating Pritzker. If you want to beat Pritzker, then you have to pick a person who can do well in Cook County and the suburbs. And I argue that's we're from here. We know how to operate here. Number two is I'm half Latino. Being my mom being from Ecuador, I lived in Mexico for 6 years. I can do an outreach to the Hispanic community, and I also can outreach to the Polish community. And those are all I'm talking about people who are conservative, who share my values. That's another. And then I've got the corporate experience. I've lived and traveled the world, worked in complex places, so I know how to operate with professionals, persuade, be logical, be reasonable, and just common sense stuff. So I think that's what sets us up to be the winners to get enough votes in Cook County to beat Pritzker. And I'd argue that the other guys can't. We saw that I supported Darren Bailey last time. I supported him strongly, but he couldn't do well up here. He lost by 13 points overall and 35 points in Cook County, the suburbs. So
last thing for these kids that are out there that are getting sold on this, what is it? Democratic socialism. Okay. They bring up Finland, Sweden, whatever. Hey, yeah, you know what they also do in those countries? You got to do a year of military service. Let's see how that works out for you, ladies and gentlemen. What is your opinion on this love for this socialism where everybody can be equally miserable? You got any thoughts to the young generation Z?
It comes back to what we talked about before. We got soft, we got lazy. I blame most of it on our educational system.
What about the parents?
I was about to say parents too, because they've all been, here's my, my cell phone. These things have been dangerous and destructive. We lost our kids to these things. Our kids are more influenced by somebody or some people on these phones than parents, right? And that's been a big thing. Our schools, I think if you look at our educational schools, teaching teachers, they've all gone to the far left. So our schools are that. We've got to unwind all that. And that's why I say, this cultural side matters too. We've got to get back to excellence. We've got to get rid of DI in our schools, get rid of DI and, these forced DI loyalty oaths in the University of Illinois. That stuff's all got to go. And we've got to get back to good old competition, and merit and excellence.
Can democratic socialism work in Illinois?
It does, but it's not working. Listen,
because Brandon Johnson isn't that what he said? He's doing a great job.
This place has the assets that most states would love to have, right? With the lake, with the land, with the universities, with our infrastructure, the center. There are 3 states that shrunk in the last decennial census from 2010 to 2020. West Virginia, Mississippi, Illinois. Why are we in that group? We shrunk. And you got Texas and Tennessee and Florida. Those guys are growing. They're stealing our people. They're stealing our businesses. You know what? I tell this story, and I told it last night, if I can. My dad, I talked about him earlier. My dad, he fled Poland because it was a failed state, right? Communist, socialist, destructive. He fled it. And I tell you, my dad loved his country, but he fled it. My mom left Ecuador. I love Ecuador. It's beautiful. But she fled it because the corruption, the poverty, your chance of success is whatever. Fast forward to today, people are fleeing Illinois as if it's a failed state, right? We've lost 250,000 blacks from Chicago and Cook County in the last 10, 15 years. People are fleeing because we're a failed state. We can't be that state. We should be a great state. And it takes a whole shift of mentality and a fight and creating a vision that we can be better. But it's going to be, we have to point out all these problems and then start getting at them. So that's the passion I have for this.
Here's what I can tell you from being over here, like right now. Go to London, #1, go to Berlin, #2, and then go to Paris. Hang out there for a while and go see what you see there. What you see are the police that are seeing crimes in front of them, not taking any action, grifters everywhere, garbage everywhere. And if that's what you want your town to turn into, your country to turn into, come out here for a while. And for the democratic socialists, okay, great. Do a year of military service. I like to see that some of these kids, do that and figure that out. Joe, thanks for bringing on Ted Dabrowski.
Yeah.
Ted, thank you, man.
Yeah, Ted,
thanks for having me on.
I just want to rehash what we said at the beginning, and that is you will be at Duffers on Saturday, December 20th from 9 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. No admission charge. Come as you are. Well, please come dressed, but come as you are. And it'll be a meet and greet, and people can talk to you, meet you in the flesh, and ask you any questions. And looking forward to having you there. And Duffers is always a great local business that we like to support.
Well, thank you guys for that and for having me on. I appreciate it. And look forward
and
to
the primary is March 17th, so vote in the Republican primary.
Yeah, we'd love that. We'd love your support. TedForIllinois.com. You can find out more about us.
TedForIllinois.com, the website. So thank you very much, Ted.
And Chicago, vote twice. Ted, take care, man.
All right, take care.
Ted. Good luck.
Bye-bye. Bye.
The Lake Forest Podcast is supported by viewers, listeners, and businesses just like you. Michelle Parno has lived and worked in Lake Forest for over 2 decades. Michelle's lending experience, when combined with her real estate expertise, makes her an invaluable asset to her clients as they navigate their home buying or selling process. Call Michelle now at 847-528-8721, 847-528-8721. For the best cannabis in the world, look no further than Iliad Epic Grow. Owned by Lake Bluff's own Rich Ruzich, they are a cannabis cultivation center focusing on hard-to-find small batch products that will delight both the occasional user and ganjier. When visiting Michigan, ask for it by name. Epic Products, exceptional process. For more information, email info@iliadgrow.com. Laracy & Company CPAs, founded in 2010 by Lake Forest's own Brian Laracy, specializes in tax preparation and bookkeeping services. Earning the People Love Us on Yelp award, their process is straightforward. Just upload, review, and file. For a free quote, visit laracycpa.com now. That's LARISEYCPA.com. I'm excited to share with you something special from our Lake Forest community, the Aesthetic Lounge Med Spa, located at 775 North Bank Lane in Lake Forest near Wisconsin Avenue. This just isn't any spa. They offer an amazing blend of traditional spa services plus the added benefit of medical procedures and treatments. In a relaxing and luxurious spa environment, you can enjoy a range of cosmetic and aesthetic treatments. These are all performed under the supervision of top medical professionals. The Aesthetic Lounge Med Spa provides skin care, facial rejuvenation, body contouring, laser hair removal, Botox, dermal fillers, chemical peels, and much more. What's great is that each treatment is tailored not just to enhance your appearance, but also to address specific skin concerns and to promote overall well-being. So if you're looking to pamper yourself and take your beauty routine to the next level, give the Aesthetic Lounge Med Spa a call at 224-768-8028 or visit them at their location on North Bank Lane. It's an experience your skin will thank you for. We'd also like to say we're thankful for our Patreon supporters, Otto, John C., Helen, Herrick, JM, and Paul G.